Recording. And we are live. Welcome back to the RINO podcast. Go to patreon.com/RINOpod. We just did a great potpourri episode on culture, fashion, Nikki Haley. My discussion with my friend Jen Nassour last week about Ron DeSantis versus Nikki Haley for president. And my daughter just brought in the greatest treat on any Sunday morning breakfast, a McDonald's hash brown.
Oh my God, yes. Right?
I gotta say,
hash browns are like amazing. Really, truly. They are one of the best. I don't eat them often,
that's
but
so
like
good.
when you get one, like it just sends you back to a different time.
They texted me. They texted me like, "Oh, what do you want from McDonald's?" I'm just like, 2 hash browns. That's all I need. It's so good. How can you not? It's un-American to not like McDonald's.
The last time I had a McDonald's breakfast, it actually has been a long time, and we went up to Maine. We went up to Maine, and there was this it's actually not that far from where Tucker Carlson lives, to be quite honest. I went to McDonald's. I was alone, and I got one of their big breakfasts, which I have not had since I was like in high school, and I ate it, and I ate it in front of the group I was with, and I was just like, God, you just can't.
McDonald's is like drugs or drinking. You're having a great time while you're eating it, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
But boy, do you regret it afterwards? Because there's so much sodium. But goddamn, does it taste good?
I did. Yeah, no, and it should be a treat. I try not to eat that much.
You know what? If you really want to, don't. Obviously, this is a once a month or every couple of months. Try. I don't even know if it's still on the menu. They took 2 syrup injected pancakes, and that's the bread of the sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich. I think it's called a McGriddle.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God! It is. Sorry. Cover your ears if you're. It is so good. It is so good. The sweet and the savory together.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Oh my God! All right, excellent.
Very good.
All right, so Daddy's happy. All right, here we go. Well, welcome back to the RINO podcast. It's been an eventful couple of weeks. Like I mentioned, scroll down if you want to check out the episode with myself and Jen going back and forth on Nikki Haley. It was a really good discussion. We both basically laid out our points for why we think they should be president. Even in, discuss the polls, their positions. But it even got more interesting this week where we had a GOP debate with 4 of the last remaining candidates running for, I should say, 4 out of the 5, because the big one wasn't there, Donald Trump. And Kaitlin, why don't I just hand it over to you? Where
were my big takeaways on the last debate?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think, look, we debated
News Nation, Megyn Kelly.
Start there. Start there.
Was the other moderator? She's from the Free Weekend. I forgot what.
Eliana Johnson.
Eliana Johnson, and I forgot the third lady. I apologize. I thought that Megyn Kelly asked some of the most pointed questions I've ever heard in a Republican debate ever, which I thought was a mixture of funny and then quite needed in some ways. Some people didn't like that. The debate actually started earlier than normal. I work out until 8 p.m. at night because I do a boot camp at 7. Had to race out of there so I can start watching. And right off the bat, Ron DeSantis came out swinging against Nikki Haley, and she could never get back the energy. It was very interesting watching this debate. Vivek started out a little bit more measured, and then he became his usual self. And Chris Christie was the same as always. And so the thing with if we're going to be talking about Nikki Haley today, and especially with her debate performance, I was shocked she did so poorly, completely underwhelmed. And she just could not answer to simple things about what she has said and done and her set policy preferences. This goes back to when she said that all people on social media should be doxxed and have to turn in a government ID or something in order to have an online presence, which is more extreme than the Patriot Act out of the early on.
It's insane. I mean, it's not insane if you're not American, but it's insane if you're an American. And it's even more insane if you're running for president on the Republican ticket. If you're Justin Trudeau, it's perfect. It's a perfectly acceptable position.
Well, I mean, if we're going to be perfectly honest, this position is the exact same one that the CCP has in China to deal with their own people. It was very, I thought, I mean, and again, we haven't really talked about the policy that much, but the policy itself, when you proposed it, was weird to focus on, in my personal.
It was.
And then she tried walking it back 4 days later, and I'm like, no, what are we even doing here?
Well, this is the pattern now. This is the pattern. She says something monumentally, well, I'm not even going to say. I can't say stupid with this. I can't, because the CCP does it.
Because she's not stupid.
No,
right?
it's like, just she comes up with a bad policy that's un-Republican at a minimum, and in many cases un-American. Right. So clearly, having people have to register for social media accounts, which was the actual position. It was on the Ruthless podcast. It was on like CBS Morning Show or something. She did multiple media.
She said it on the Ruthless podcast, and then she doubled down on like CNBC, and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?"
So and then, and I had this conversation with Jen on this topic, and then it's like she walks it back or clarifies, or it's not really what she meant. No, what she was really talking about was foreign actors. It's like, no, she wasn't. She clearly wasn't. And if she didn't understand what she was saying, she shouldn't have put forward the proposal anyway. And she should seriously reconsider why she's even, this fabulous leadership that we keep hearing about.
And on that, Jeff, okay, so like my thing with Nikki Haley on this is that she says something that she would support as policy, or something that she has supported in the past, or whatever. And instead of just coming out and saying, yeah, I supported it, and I maybe don't, or my opinion has changed, she waffles between this line of like trying to retcon what you said. It's like,
calls you a liar. She calls you a liar is what she does.
Exactly. And I'm like, no. Like, I would respect you more if you came out and been like, I said this, my opinion has changed. This is what it is now based on this new information. I would respect that.
So there's two other examples in this.
Them just like walking this like crazy line. So like in the debate, they get on the topic of the minors becoming out as trans thing and body modification, and the trans bathroom bill in South Carolina. She killed the bill. Like, I don't know how any of the trans minor bathroom or the trans bathroom bill in South Carolina, she straight up said that she didn't think that they should be passing any sort of law in South Carolina, because at that time, that's when North Carolina had their big kerfuffle or whatever you want to call it about that culture clash. And so she came out and said that, okay? Like, that is what you said, okay? Don't try to play it off like you meant something different. That's my big thing. It's like, no, this is what you said. You are being presented with your own words and trying to tell us that we're liars for going off what you actually said.
Yeah. So
it's like
this
when Ron DeSantis says you killed it, I signed it. That impresses me, because he took the action. Like, you straight up said you're not going to take the action. Then you treated us like we were dumb. And
keep in mind how that took place. That exchange took place. That exchange took place because she throws the jab at him about a bathroom bill and said, oh, it wasn't worth his time. Now, the funny part is, if you go to Team Haley, I saw this come through. The fact check Team Haley brought up is, I'm not even joking, it's a screenshot of Nikki Haley being quoted as saying this. Like, it's like in quotes that Ron DeSantis said it, dash Nikki Haley. I'm not even lying. Her campaign is not actually very good. If he actually did say that, you should produce the actual quote, not Nikki Haley saying that he said this actual quote. But that's just one part of it. But
they used Nikki Haley's opinion as a fact check?
I'd have to. I should have had it queued up. I didn't know I was going to get to this, but yes,
okay.
It's on there. I'll go on Team Haley at Team Haley and scroll through and you'll see it. I laughed at that. But also, she throws that jab, misses because he goes, "What are you talking about? I signed the bathroom bill." Now, even if what she claims he said, he was so ready to say it and had those lines ready to go to hit back and just utterly annihilated her on that issue. We didn't even get to her support of saying that Gazan refugees should come to the U.S., like, which she did say that. Again, she claims she didn't say it. No, it's on video. I literally even saved the clip on my phone because I knew that it would come back, and she'd deny it.
I mean, so my thing on this is like, with like refugees and like the immigration bans and stuff, she during the debate said, this is what it should be. We should ban immigrants from countries that are terroristic hotbeds. We already do that. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why we don't really allow people from Gaza into the United States.
I'm pretty sure Obama had that as a...
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That has been standard
when Trump caught flack for it, everybody pointed out, he was like, this is essential. This is basically the country.
I mean, we do
Obama's list.
We know we don't have. I don't understand this. We don't have freewheeling immigration in this country. We have rules, and so like what she did was just basically say that she would ban them from certain countries. We already have that policy. So what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, there's. And the thing with like Gaza and the Palestinians, in Gaza, Hamas was the duly elected government, even though they hadn't had an election for a long time. Hamas had a high approval rating in Gaza. I'm not saying that should be completely in and out of your brain, but like that is the reality.
It's a leading indicator
there. Yeah. And so again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. And so it was bizarre. Like, I thought it was, like, I was just watching, I'm like, we already do that.
But it was a poor performance on multiple levels because you can't be like,
and then
we have video. Well, hang on. Yeah, but we have video now at our fingertips. At our fingertips, we can say, I put out the full clip on CBS Morning about her opinion on, banning transgender procedures for minors. The full interview, like nothing was taken out of context. The interviewer asks a very clear question, makes it very clear question, clear as day, and she answers how she answers. Says no, the law should stay out of it, and then goes on to say things that support her position on that. It was and is Chris Christie's position. Now, I disagree with that position, as does Ron DeSantis. Right, so.
And that was a great moment during the debate. Chris Christie is like going off, being like, I think the law should stay out of it, all this other stuff. And then Ron DeSantis says, you do not have the right to abuse your children as a parent or something to that effect. And that really, I literally was like, yes, there it is.
But that's a very clear position. And DeSantis even says to him, hey, kudos. It's an honest position. It is an honest position. And that was Nikki Haley's position and is Nikki Haley's position. But she knows that she shouldn't have that position if she wants to get ahead in the Republican primary. So, death by 1,000 cuts. And then the Wall Street thing. It's like, listen, this was childish. I don't know. There's a. I'm hesitating to say what kind of responses these were.
The back and forth on the Wall Street thing is like, that does not I don't care about that, right? Like if you are like trying to invite Jamie Dimon and like Larry Fink from like BlackRock, that stuff is not impressive to me because I think of them as moving parts in this like political system where they're trying to quote unquote buy political influence, right? Like the leaders of corporations, that's what they do. We don't need to pretend that they don't. They do. But they want, you know, business benefits for their corporations, and banks and financial services. That's what they want. Okay. They want to be able to have these connections with politicians so it gives them the benefit within their corporation. It's very corporatist. Okay. It's not actually capitalism or free market, or anything like that. That's what they want. It's very cronyism. I'm not impressed by that. Okay. And so I think that her saying that is like, what are you doing here? You're trying to run for the Republican nomination by saying that you have the most people from Wall Street.
Well, to brag about it and to flip it with the flavor of you're just jealous. Why are you so obsessed with me? Like why are you, like that is like that's the weakest shit I've ever, it's like you're just jealous that I got the donors and you didn't. It's like what do you think's going on here? You're running for president. There's a significant chunk of the Republican Party that hates this stuff, doesn't like the Wall Street bailouts. Call them
and she said herself that she doesn't like Wall Street bailouts or anything for another corporation. So why are you bragging about all of these, corporate donors and all of that stuff? Like if the point is if you're against these bailouts and then the point of them trying to get in with you is that you would do them because you're a politician and that's what CEOs do and sector industry titans do, I don't understand the bragging. It's a contradiction.
I think it was a poor reaction with flailing going on. That was just.
Can we get to the Chris Christie thing? Okay, we both don't like Vivek. Like we've been through this. I think that he was very annoying.
As does America, really. I mean, people that like Vivek know that he's annoying. Like, don't actually like him. They just like what he says.
They like that he's annoying. Vivek was being annoying on the debate stage, and it was over the 3 provinces in Ukraine that are kind of like ambiguous on Russian support. And he was asking whether or not she could name like the 3 provinces and stuff. And Chris Christie jumps in. This is actually my one piece of nuance for Nikki Haley. Chris Christie jumps in and like admonishes Vivek over, trying to criticize her intelligence and all this other stuff. I thought in that moment, that exchange was like so indicative of these 2 men. Like Vivek just being annoying, and then Chris Christie trying to come in and like white knight Nikki Haley when Nikki Haley is not. She's not dumb. Like I think in that moment when he said that, she should have come back and been like, "Here's the 3 provinces, STFU." Like I would have respected that more than like
she did. There was a garbled exchange sometime later in the debate where I don't know if it happened before a break or after a break, where she talks about the problem, where she mentions.
No, she tried to mention it when he was talking, and I couldn't clearly. It was something right there at that moment because I couldn't clearly. I heard her speak and she said 3 words, and I think those were the 3 provinces.
Yeah, she like Donetsk, Crimea, like she totally. I saw the clip, and if it was a real clip, I mean, but where she said that, I just don't know when that took place. I'd have to watch the whole thing over again. Which fair enough, but it was like timid. You could have like hit back and be like, "Chris, thank you, but be quiet," and would have shut him down. But Christie is wormy in these respects, like where I wouldn't put it past him that he knows his position is on the trans modification.
Well, he was governor. But hang on. It's a deep blue state. Like he's going to have that position.
But he's smart enough to know that he's out of step with the majority of Republican Party voters. So he comes out with his honest position, right up against with what Nikki Haley's, pullback or walk back, and then and DeSantis hits him on it. But also, I think he's got to know how that white knighting looks to the rest of America to step in there. Now, I thought he was going to set this up to endorse her, but I don't know, man. I mean, is it 3D chess? Am I overthinking this? Because
my opinion on that is that I saw men who support Haley really be like, yeah, that was a good thing. And then I saw like most women be like, no. She could have answered the question without him jumping in and really shutting Vivek down. Like, yeah. My thing on it is that, okay, Chris, it was nice that you did that, but at the same time, like, she's actually not dumb, and she could have answered that question and taken the moment for herself. So you kind of stole the moment from her.
Well, that's my point. I think he knows when he does that, he's doing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean? That's it. To come full circle on this, here's the thing. Is there going to be one more debate between the two of them before Iowa on CNN? Is that happening? Or not really?
I thought there was.
I read something that like things got canceled. But I don't know if this was like an official thing or not.
Well, I think the GOP said they're not going to do another one, which I think is silly. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to show up. I don't know. I'll look it up right now.
So we got nothing basically until right up before the Iowa caucuses. And in that time, we'll see what happens. But I predict, and I'll bet this, once DeSantis wins Iowa, because keep in mind, Trump is supposed to win Iowa. They're all just, theoretically, and I don't believe this, but that's what everybody says. They're fighting in the polls for second place. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the next few weeks, DeSantis is going to come up.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't say. So it says the RNC is pausing its participation in 2024 GOP primary debates, but that means the ABC and CNN ones will just be independent debates.
All right, so that'll probably happen. Okay.
No, I mean that's just the RNC shilling to Trump, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll have to talk about that next one because it's bullshit what they're doing. But the takeaway is this: once DeSantis wins Iowa, and he will win Iowa, that gives the next week before New Hampshire, everything shuffles. Everything shuffles. It will be a landscape shift because even if he just wins by 2 points or whatever it is in the Iowa caucuses, that is then a permission slip for, I'd say, minimum of 12 to 15% of Trump support to go right back over to him. And you're going to have weaker candidates down like Christie and Vivek won't. I just don't see them having. I think they might poll strong in New Hampshire, but in reality, they're going to go and vote for Trump, DeSantis, or Haley. And you can't judge New Hampshire. You can't judge New Hampshire now. New Hampshire can be judged after Iowa takes place. Now, if Ron DeSantis does not win Iowa, and I mean clearly win Iowa, there's no point. Because he's putting all his eggs in one basket. But if he does win that...
But I would say that even Nikki Haley needs to perform well in Iowa to even do well in New Hampshire and South Carolina. A lot of people are really undercutting Iowa here. And I think with somebody who's polling like Trump is, in order for Nikki Haley to do well in New Hampshire and South Carolina, there's not going to be a swing if she doesn't do well in Iowa. Yeah, I mean, from what I see from Nikki Haley out of Iowa and what I've heard on background, it's not as great as it has and organized as it has been for Ron DeSantis. And I know that
Wait, time out. You're saying that
Nikki Haley's Iowa operation is not as good as Ron DeSantis'.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought I heard you said
Sorry,
they were saying that he's not as good. I was like, hang on.
No, she is not as her ground operation. I mean, Ron DeSantis went to every single county in Iowa.
Yeah.
And Nikki Haley's really staying in like the 5 big counties, which apparently is not impressing the rural voters of Iowa that well, which I think is fair.
Her strategy is New Hampshire. I've heard that DeSantis isn't as strong in New Hampshire. Sort of makes sense. I get that. But I didn't hear that in Iowa. I've heard he's like, I mean,
so Jeff, I live closer to New Hampshire than you do. I went up to New Hampshire actually last week, and I drove from essentially so if you all know New Hampshire, it abuts like Maine. And so when you like drive all the way up to Maine, like if I'm going to Kittery, because I'm going to the Outland Malls, I have to drive through New Hampshire to do so. So I usually drive from like where the New Hampshire Maine border is over towards back into like where maybe, what is it? It's like Durham to like, I go through Newmarket, I go all the way to where that Navy base is, and then I'll hop back on 95 and come back down. Every single Nikki Haley sign that I saw in New Hampshire was surrounded by the Vivek signs. Like he is trolling her on the ground in New Hampshire.
A literal troll.
I mean, it really is. Like every single time I see a road sign for Nikki Haley, there is like 4 or 5 for Vivek just surrounding her stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to expect. Like I think that Nikki Haley's plan of really focusing on New Hampshire, let's say she gets 3rd or maybe 3rd in Iowa, I don't think that that's going to benefit her in New Hampshire, to be quite honest.
She has to come in 2nd in New Hampshire for it to even be viable for her to continue. You can't come in 3rd in
Iowa, I think that there's
3rd in New Hampshire and then expect, South Carolina is going to save me. Like that's.
But I think even coming in 2nd in New Hampshire is not going to save her in South Carolina. Like
probably not, but it's literally over at that point.
Ron DeSantis splits the vote in South Carolina, and the legislature of South Carolina does not remembers when Nikki Haley was governor. I hate to say it, but a lot of those people remember when she was governor, and they all endorsed Ron DeSantis. That this is things that people who support Haley do not talk about, and it's kind of weird and strange, but that's fine. And then you see a lot of Tim Scott people in South Carolina deviating towards Ron DeSantis. I don't understand this. Well, I do kind of understand the deviation from Nikki Haley in South Carolina, but I don't know what else.
I think we laid it out clearly in the first 26 minutes here. Well, we got a month. It's all going to start to happen in a month. All right, next up. I wrote a piece that I submitted to Commonwealth Beacon, which is a Massachusetts publication on wonky political stuff and ideas and news. They just changed their name to Commonwealth Beacon. I mentioned it briefly. Did I do it on the Patreon? Yeah, I did it on the Patreon a few weeks back. But essentially, to preface this topic, the MBTA, which stands for the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, is essentially the organization that runs public transit in eastern Massachusetts. The subways, the commuter trains, the buses. And it is a disaster. And a month or two ago, they came out with this report that said it's going to cost $25 billion, billion with a B, to get the state of our transportation system just into a state of good repair. It's an astronomical figure, okay? That's, I call it, 2/3 of the annual budget of the entire state of Massachusetts.
That is very true. I just want to preface this by saying Jeff is really into the MBTA, and I really ride the train, so I'm going to let him go on this.
No, well, but it's important. Like I take the MBTA every week.
We have it. I mean, the thing is it does eat up a lot of the state budget on maintaining. It is infrastructure that the state has, Commonwealth has. I think it's very important that we need to, make it more usable and like not have it be so crappy.
So this is a part of it, right? So this is why. So my call it revolutionary idea is very straightforward. And the transit activists are going to come after me. And by the way, if you're an urbanist or a cycling look, when I run for office, if one of the primary pillars of my campaign, no matter what office will be get rid of the bike lanes, because it's just ridiculous. These weird niche activists are ruining the lives of normal citizens who want to drive. But I take the MBTA every week, and the service has been terrible in the past year. Slowdowns, maintenance, constant problems, breakdowns. The trains are old. The tracks are falling apart. All kinds of stuff. And for some unknown reason, it's just government ineptness, and also the limitations of what the current infrastructure can do are at their breaking point. They just can't be fixed. And there's only these unique places in the world, in the country, where this has to happen. Maybe, Boston, New York, Philly, D.C. I guess there's a subway in L.A., maybe Chicago. Okay, major cities. This is not exactly a place where there's a train factory on every corner. It just doesn't work that way. So my idea is very simple. It's this: get rid of the trains, get rid of the tracks, because a lot of this maintenance is super expensive from the tracks perspective, from the trains perspective. You pave them over, nice smooth surface, and you get autonomous buses. Lots of them. They're cheaper. They're easier to maintain. They're easier to manufacture. You eliminate the idea of the tracks themselves on there, requiring a track. You don't. The biggest problem with autonomous vehicles is the variables when you're out there driving on the road. By the way, I've ridden in a Tesla on autopilot. It works fine. If there's no other cars or any other vehicles on the road, it would be even easier. So you can also park. Train yards are huge. You can't park trains vertically, right, on ramps, but you can with buses. They can build parking structures, so you have, twice as many buses and they cost about 1/10 of the cost of a train. And you just do that. Now, everybody's going to be like, oh, this was the stupidest idea I ever heard. Really? Okay, because right now, if you take the Silver Line to Logan or anywhere on that, other than the driver of the bus on the Silver Line, you're essentially doing the same thing. It's the Silver Line, okay? So we need to think bigger about this and stop maintaining an antiquated technology that is the train system and move towards something that absolutely makes more sense. And it will be cheaper in the long run. Also, the pension system needs to be completely changed, but that's a whole nother battle. That's a political battle. So that's it.
Yeah,
Go read my article. It's in Commonwealth Beacon. I'll include it beneath this episode. I'll tweet it out as well. I'll defend this. I'll defend this idea. It would be people like, well, if your argument to me is it can't happen politically or it'll never happen because of bureaucracy, okay, fine. But functionally, there's not much of a case. Why trains? Just because they're trains? No. People need to move reliably from point A to point B. And buses can do that just as well as trains, and you don't need to maintain an absolutely antiquated 200-year-old mode of transportation to do so. That's it. Go read my article.
Okay.
All right. Last up, MassGOP State Committee. All right, so let me queue up this. There's an article in the Boston Herald. Oh, man, you Boston Herald. Can I sign in and get the headline? So Howie Carr wrote a piece. Let me see if I can get the top of the article. I can't. Let's see. Log in. No. All right, redirecting. Opinion column. All right, Howard Carr, Mass GOP rising from the grave. Essentially, he's talking about he gets into the battle that's going to take place on March 5th for. This is when everybody votes for the the presidential primary, both Democrat and Republican. In Massachusetts, it's Super Tuesday. You have an opportunity to vote for state committee races across the Commonwealth. I am running for state committee. My opponent is a Trump supporter. You clearly know who I'm supporting for president. But it's also a dividing line on what direction we want the local Republican Party to go, the Mass GOP. The failure of Jim Lyons in the previous administration to almost bankrupt us, to constantly lose elections, lose seats, basically burn the party to the ground because he's either too stupid or crazy to know how to run a proper apparatus. This is a decision point. You want to go forward or you want to go backward. Howie wrote this article in Boston Herald outlining all of these various, races, and like 5 or 6 people on the Jim Lyons side aren't even running, which is great. But then there's battles for the state committee across the board. So, by the way, in the coming weeks, you can donate to my campaign for state committee. I'll get information out for that. I'm going to probably put together at least one event prior to March 5th. Maybe even make it a joint DeSantis Jeff Simone for Republican State Committee event where we can organize and help win the state for DeSantis and win me for state committee and get us right on the right track for where the party needs to be and what we need to do.
Right.
What do you hear? I mean, thoughts on state committee races?
They're important. I mean, like, the thing with the state committee in Massachusetts or for the Mass GOP, is that these are the people who vote and make decisions for the state party on their initiatives and what they're going to be putting forth. They're very important seats. And so we need to, I am tired of we've talked about this at length a lot. I'm just tired of the Trumpy stuff. Like, he doesn't win. He doesn't win in Massachusetts, and the people who support him in Massachusetts help us lose elections. And so, like, we need to really move forward as a party instead of really just staying in the past. Like, we need to start winning elections in order to have political power, and the decision on this should be easy instead of going back to the good old boys. And so, because the good old boys are losing us elections, and it's just as simple as that for me. So they are important. Make sure, as a Republican voter in Massachusetts, in your area, going into the primaries in April, right? That you vote for people for state committee
March 5th.
You're right, March.
Don't say April.
My brain is like not, I apologize. I actually, it's March 5th. I got in really late last night, and I'm reaching a point now where I'm like, oh my God, I'm on my second cup of coffee and this is not helping. So yeah, you just need to vote for people that would benefit the party. So we have an actual party apparatus that can support candidates and win. Like, when we organized for Peter Durant, and it is important. We have to start winning back. We have to start clawing back. We have to be relevant, and we are not relevant with more support for Donald Trump on the state committee.
So correct, and it'll be a real time for choosing, right, on March 5th on Super Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And go vote. If you don't vote, then you get the party you deserve. So in my district, if you're in Arlington, Lexington, Woburn, Burlington, and Billerica, vote for me. So we're gonna update you more on that as we move forward. Today's the 10th, Kaitlin. We'll probably get one more episode in, and then it's Christmas and New Year's, and then back for that.
Yeah, so, unfortunately, Sunday I can't do next Sunday because I have something in the morning, but I can't do the afternoon. So we might be doing
that
later.
might work. Okay, we'll try to get one more episode in before the Christmas break. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. Go on over to patreon.com/RINOpod. Only $1 a month to sign up for extra content. We just get a good episode on culture and, where that stands in fashion and all these, just a little potpourri of items. Anyway, we really appreciate you checking us out and viewing here. Retweet the episode or repost the episode. Thanks, Elon, on X. And
is that what it's called now? Repost?
Yeah, you didn't notice that? Repost.
I like retweet. I do actually like that.
Here's the only thing I can imagine where he wants this to go. He wants X to be the central platform for all viewing of all things.
It kind of is, right?
He wants to corner the market, and he sort of is when he said, a
I
couple weeks ago when he said, "What's that?"
I don't go to Facebook for news. I go to Facebook to look on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. I don't go to Facebook for much, and Instagram's got good advertising. But when he told the advertisers who threatened him a couple weeks ago, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, that was great.
That's great because that's the attitude you have. Because this is never going to end. They're always going to try to bully. They're always going to try to censor people and what they say. And if X is the last remaining place where people can express their ideas freely, it will just naturally gravitate towards being the best. And to put it to Elon's point is or it won't, and it'll fail. And then we're in, real trouble. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. We will have a very Merry Christmas. We will hopefully talk to you soon. And until then, bye-bye.
Bye.